Right now, there's a real chance the government is holding on to money that belongs to you, and most seniors never find out until it's too late to claim it. I mean that. Somewhere in the fine print of Social Security rules, in a claiming decision made years ago, or in a benefit you never applied for because nobody told you it existed, there could be dollars sitting on the table with your name on them. Before you scroll past this, hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to walk you through could be the difference between just getting by and actually feeling secure. You worked 30, 40, maybe 50 years for this. You paid into this system your entire working life. You deserve to know exactly what you're owed, not just what some government website buries on page 12. I know what it feels like to open that Social Security letter and feel your stomach drop a little. I know what it's like to do math in your head every single month, moving numbers around, trying to figure out how the mortgage, the medicine, and the groceries are all going to fit into one fixed check. You're not imagining it. Prices have gone up faster than your check has. You are not bad with money. You are not failing. The system itself was never built with a plain English instruction manual, and that's not your fault. It was built by committees, buried in acronyms, and left for you to figure out on your own, usually right when you're at your most exhausted and most vulnerable. That ends today, right here on this channel, because you deserve someone who will sit with you at the kitchen table and just tell you the truth. And here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. There is a very specific reason your check might be smaller than it should be, and it has almost nothing to do with how hard you worked. It has to do with a handful of quiet rules buried inside Social Security. Rules about timing, about your spouse, about your old pension, that most seniors never even hear about until years after the decision that mattered was already made. I'm going to walk you through exactly what those rules are. But first, you need the full picture, because once you see how these pieces fit together, you'll understand why so many good, hard-working Americans are leaving real money behind every single month without even knowing it. Let's start with a piece almost everyone talks about, but almost nobody truly understands: the cost of living adjustment, or COLA. Every year, the Social Security Administration is supposed to raise your check to keep up with rising prices. For 2026, that increase is 2.8%, which brings the average retired worker's check up by about $56 a month. Now, on paper, that sounds like good news, and in some ways it is. But here's what you need to understand, and this is important. That number is not calculated based on what seniors actually spend money on. It's based on a formula tracking spending by younger, working-age city dwellers. It doesn't weight healthcare and prescription costs the way it should for people your age, even though those are often the fastest-growing expenses you face. So when your COLA check arrives and it feels like it barely moved the needle against your grocery bill or your heating costs, you are not losing your mind. The formula itself was never built with you, specifically, in the room. Understanding this is the first step to protecting yourself, because once you know the system undercounts your real costs, you can plan around it instead of being blindsided by it every January. Now, let's talk about something that affects millions of seniors who are still working, even part-time, and it's called the earnings test. If you have claimed Social Security but haven't yet reached what's called your full retirement age, which is 67 for most people turning 65 or younger today, there is a limit to how much you can earn from a job before the government temporarily holds back part of your check. For 2026, if you're under full retirement age all year, that limit is $24,480. Earn more than that, and Social Security withholds $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn above the limit. In the calendar year you actually reach full retirement age, that limit jumps way up to $65,160, and the penalty softens to $1 withheld for every $3 earned above it. Here's the part almost nobody tells you, and it's the piece that brings so many seniors real relief once they hear it. That money is not gone forever. It is not a penalty in the permanent sense. Once you reach full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your monthly benefit and gives you credit for what was withheld in the form of a higher check going forward. So if you're still working and worried you're being punished for staying active and earning a living, breathe a little easier. The system pays you back. It just doesn't advertise that fact very loudly. Now, here comes one of the biggest, most overlooked pieces of the entire system. And I promise you, this is the part that surprises people the most. The exact age at which you choose to start collecting your Social Security check can permanently raise or lower your monthly payment for the rest of your life. Claim at 62, the earliest possible age, and your check is permanently reduced, often by around 30% compared to waiting until full retirement age. But if you're able to hold off, and I know that's not possible for everyone, every single year you delay past your full retirement age, up to age 70, adds roughly 8% to your monthly benefit. Guaranteed, locked in, for life. Think about what that means. Waiting just a few extra years could mean hundreds of extra dollars every single month for the rest of your life and for your surviving spouse after you're gone. This is not a sales pitch. This is math, plain and simple. And it's math that far too many seniors never got to see laid out clearly before they made their decision. And speaking of spouses, here's something that I need every married or widowed person watching this to hear clearly, because this is where real money gets left behind more than almost anywhere else in the system. If you were married, even if you're now divorced after a marriage that lasted 10 years or longer, you may be entitled to a spousal benefit worth up to half of your spouse's or ex-spouse's benefit amount, even if you never worked a day in your life, or if your own benefit is smaller than theirs. And if your spouse has passed away, survivor benefits can pay you up to the full amount your spouse was receiving. Millions of widows and widowers are out there right now, collecting only their own smaller check, never realizing they qualify for a larger survivor benefit instead. Nobody at Social Security calls you up to tell you this. You have to know to ask. So if you are widowed or divorced from a long marriage, please go check this for yourself or have someone help you check, because this single conversation could change your monthly income for the rest of your life. Now let's talk about a piece of news that is genuinely, remarkably good, and it's still catching up to a lot of people who were affected by it for decades. For years, if you worked as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, or in certain other public service jobs where you also earned a pension, two rules called the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset quietly slashed your Social Security benefit, sometimes by hundreds of dollars a month, simply because you also had a pension. That injustice was corrected. The Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law, wiping out both of those penalties retroactively, back to January of 2024. If this affects you, the Social Security Administration has already been sending out retroactive lump sum payments and increasing monthly checks going forward, some by well over $1,000 a month for the people most affected. If you're a retired teacher, firefighter, police officer, or public servant who assumed your Social Security was permanently reduced because of your pension, please go check your account, because that reduction may no longer legally apply to you. Let's talk about Medicare next, because this is where a lot of seniors get confused about why their Social Security check doesn't match what they expected. Your Medicare Part B premium, the part that covers doctor visits and outpatient care, is usually deducted automatically straight out of your Social Security check before it ever reaches your bank account. That means your official benefit amount and the actual dollar figure that lands in your account are two very different numbers, and understanding that gap matters, especially as Medicare premiums tend to rise nearly every year alongside your COLA increase, sometimes eating up a meaningful chunk of that raise before you ever see it. Knowing this ahead of time means you're not caught off guard every January, wondering why your raise feels smaller than promised. Now, if you're living on a very limited income, there's a program that doesn't get nearly enough attention called Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. This is different from regular Social Security retirement benefits. It's designed specifically for seniors and disabled individuals with very limited income and resources, and it can provide monthly payments even to people who don't qualify for much or any regular Social Security. For 2026, the maximum federal SSI payment is $994 a month for an individual and $1,491 for an eligible couple. If you or someone you love is struggling on a very tight fixed income,
This program exists specifically to help, and far too many eligible seniors never apply simply because they've never heard the name.
And here is one more piece of very real, very recent news that could put actual money back in your pocket at tax time. A new senior tax deduction was signed into law, giving people 65 and older an extra $6,000 deduction, $12,000 for a married couple where both spouses qualify, on top of the deductions you already receive. This is separate from your standard deduction. It applies whether you itemize or not, and it's available for tax years 2025 through 2028. There are income limits. The benefit starts phasing out for single filers above $75,000 and disappears entirely above $175,000, with higher thresholds for married couples. But for the vast majority of seniors on a modest fixed income, this is real, meaningful relief that didn't exist just a couple of years ago. And plenty of people preparing their own taxes this year have no idea it's sitting there waiting for them.
So here is where all of this comes together. You have a cost of living adjustment that doesn't fully reflect your real expenses. You have an earnings test that temporarily withholds money but pays it back later. You have a claiming age decision that can permanently shape your monthly income for the rest of your life. You have spousal and survivor benefits that go unclaimed by millions of people who simply never asked. You have a historic fix to a decades-old pension penalty that may be putting real money back into checks right now. You have a safety net program in SSI for those who need it most, and you have a brand new tax deduction that could lower what you owe this filing season. None of this is complicated because you're not smart enough to understand it. It's complicated because the system was never built to explain itself to you in plain language. That's exactly why this channel exists.
You worked your whole life for this. You showed up to that job year after year, decade after decade, so that this exact moment, this stage of your life, could be a little easier, a little safer, a little more peaceful. You are not asking for a handout. You are asking for what you already earned. So here's what I need you to do right now. Subscribe to this channel, because I am going to keep bringing you the real, honest breakdowns that nobody else is putting in plain English, the updates that actually affect your monthly check, and the truth about what you're owed, without the confusing government jargon standing in your way. And then, before you go, share this video with your spouse, your sister, your brother, your neighbor down the street, anyone you love who is navigating this same maze and deserves to know exactly what they're entitled to. You deserve every single dollar you earned. Let's make sure you get it.